Greetings. I welcome you all to today's class. It's me, Samyo Hangma Rai. We will be studying an exciting topic that is letter writing. Let's begin the class now.
Letter writing. There are two types of letters. They are formal and informal. Formal letters are written to people who are involved in business, organizations, government officials, or to someone of official capacity. For example, from a student's point of view, we usually write formal letters to newspapers, particularly editors-in-chiefs, to our teachers or principals. Informal letters are addressed to our friends, families, acquaintances. In informal letters, we usually talk about our lives. Usually, personal matters are discussed, unlike informal letters. Let us remember that we place all the headings on our left-hand side. You begin with writing your address on top. For example, I shall write Sifal, Kathmandu. Right below your address, you write down the date when you've written your letter. And since this is an informal letter, there is no need for a subject. You can simply begin your letter with your greetings, dear to whomever you're writing the letter to. Now let us begin by dividing our letter. The safest bet is to divide your letters into three portions: your introduction, your body, and lastly your conclusion. In an informal letter, when you begin writing your first paragraph, you talk of small things, small talk. Small talk includes talk of weather or in general conversations, such as asking about how they are, what is currently going on, and so on. For example, let us assume that you're writing the letter to your best friend, Anna. So you can simply begin by writing Dear Anna, and then you start your letter. After you build up your conversation, in the first paragraph itself, you write about why you have written the letter. For example, this is just an example, but instead of writing about why inviting a trip to Pokhara with my family, this actually depends on what the question has asked you to write about. So if your question has asked you to write about their plans or your plans, or let's assume maybe the letter has asked you to write about what your favorite movie is, or let's assume what is the most recent movie that you watched. So according to that, you adjust this. After you've given the hint of addressing the question, you simply move on to the next paragraph. Now the second paragraph, like I mentioned, is the body paragraph. Here, in second paragraph, you write in great details about what the question is asking you to write. Previously, I've written about inviting my friend Anna to a trip to Pokhara with my family. So I will build on that. So I will talk to her about like so. And then you write about why do you want your friend to go? What are the plans? What are the things that you intend to do when you go there? After you mention that, you can move on to your last paragraph or also simply conclude your letter. Since in your letter, you've written about you wanted to invite Anna. So Anna even has the option of saying no because they can have their own reasons, right? So to conclude, you can write, I hope you will join. My family looks forward to it. Maybe there are things that your family members need to talk to Anna's family members about, and so on. And then you can simply write, hoping for a positive response. Remember, your conclusion should not be more than the introduction. It always has to be at least 10% shorter than your introduction. After you have written everything in your letter, you end it. You sign off. So since this is an informal letter, you have the option of writing many things when you sign off. In simple, sincerely is the most commonly and the easiest sign off you can use. But there are other options. For example, perhaps you can use with love, you can use yours, and so on. But sincerely will be your safest bet. And since you have written a letter to your friend, since this is an informal letter, there's no need for you to write your full name. Writing your first name will suffice, like so. Now, let's talk about what our formal letters are supposed to look like. Similar to our informal letters, right below the address, we write down the date. But unlike our informal letter where we directly begin addressing to whoever we're writing the letter to, there's a slight change. We begin with to. So, to, right below to, you write down who are you writing the letter to. To be more specific, what is the position? Just assume you're writing a letter to your class teacher. So, our date, our address remains the same, but it should look something like to the class teacher. Like I mentioned, position. Right below the position, you can write down the class teacher of which organization. Now, where is this organization located? Like so. But we're still not there yet. It's still not time for us to begin addressing the question. So after you write down the address of the organization, you now have to mention the subject. Unlike the address, the dates that we have written, which were all on the left-hand side alignment of your copies, you write down the subject a little bit towards the center, a little bit to your right side. So you write down subject. Now subject should consist of why you are writing your letter. Since we're going with the example of writing a letter to our class teacher, let's assume you're writing a letter to them to ask for leave. So your subject line can be leave application. Another thing one must remember when writing the subject should always be short and specific. Right? Not to make it longer than a single line, because at the end of the day, you will elaborate this specific subject later on in your paragraphs. So now you come back to your left-hand side alignment and you begin. So easiest way to begin is respected. Now, since you know who your class teacher is, just write down either respected sir or ma'am, because we know who our class teacher is, right? You can simply just write respected ma'am, or if you want to make it a bit more specific, you can mention your teacher's name. But respected ma'am is also fine. Now, unlike your informal letter, now you write here, you simply write down why you are writing the letter. Remember, this is your formal letter, hence try not to use contractions. Try not to use short slangs. The most common slangs we see is use of cause instead of because, instead of got to, gotta. These are the things one must avoid. Okay? Unlike an informal letter, there's no need for you to have or exchange small talk here. You can simply write down why you are writing the letter. So, respected ma'am, I am writing this letter. The request for leave from this day to this day due to this, right? Then you move on to your second paragraph, where you will write in greater detail about why you are seeking this leave. So there can be multiple reasons for you taking leaves. Let's assume you're taking leave for your sister's wedding. So you should write in such a way that your teacher is convinced that you have to be present at that certain event at all costs. So sister's wedding, when? Why do you have to be there? Why is it so important to be there? Mention all those reasons. And lastly, in the last paragraph, you simply write about of some sort and then you sign off. Now, when you sign off, like I mentioned previously, sincerely is one of the easiest way that you can sign off. But you also have the option of using faithfully. Unlike an informal letter, where just writing your first name was sufficient, here it is not going to be sufficient. In an informal letter, you must write down your full name. There you go. There are common misconceptions of people trying to sign off, but we do not do that here when we are writing. So if you follow the specific format, we will be good to go. Homework number 1. Write a letter to the mayor of your municipality or chairperson requesting them to involve the representatives of children in the decision-making process related to children's issues in your municipality. Now let's try to guess whether the given question is a formal or an informal letter. So you need to look at whom do you have to write the letter to. So as the question states, mayor of your municipality or chairperson. So the mayor is a position, a government body. Hence, this is a formal letter. And what do you have to mention in your letter? You need to request them. You're writing a plea to them to involve the representatives of children in decision-making process related to children's issues. So you have to write in such a way that the mayor is convinced why children need to be involved in the decision-making of children's related issues. Let's try number 2. Number 2, write a letter to your friend telling them about your SEE preparation. So since you're writing the letter to your friend, this is an informal letter. Now you have to write to them about how you have been preparing for SEE. Perhaps you can mention of your routine, what are the changes you have brought, maybe about the practices also, and so on. If you can get your formatting down, letter writing, the content should flow just as easily. Remember, formatting is extremely important, specifically in guided writing portions for your SEE examinations. How did your class go today? If you have any suggestions or feedback, feel free to reach out to us at learning@dearwalk.edu.np. See you in the next class with another lesson. Thank you.